I'm Cathy Neptune, and welcome to my kitchen. I'm going to share with you tips, tools, and recipes to make your time in the kitchen fun, fast, and fabulous. Thank you to everybody who writes in with your comments and suggestions. It's so fun. It gives me inspiration and ideas on what you're looking for. So today, I had a special email from several moms and younger daughters and sons who wanted to make something for Mother's Day. So in that venue, we're going to do a Mother's Day menu, not a complete menu, but keeping the younger generation in mind, and those of you who would like to make something that's going to be absolutely amazing to everybody, whether you're young or old, or you want to entertain, we're going to do some fabulous, what they call bread art. And if you've never heard about it, it's out there. And it's taking vegetables and transforming them into beautiful flowers. So that's what we're going to be doing. And also, we have a homemade ricotta cheese. And you don't have to make it homemade because we're not doing that today, but you can go on my previous show called Yogurt Yoga and learn how to make ricotta cheese. Very simple, very easy to do. But we're going to do that. And then for dessert, a simple but very elegant. Everything today is going to be very easy. It's an ice cream on a pedestal dish with some kind of like a strawberry-rhubarb compote with lime, fresh lime, and walnuts. So everything here is so doable. It's a lot of fun. Get the kids in the kitchen. And you younger folks, get in there in the kitchen and have some fun. Gather your friends, and you could all do this fabulous, it's called a floral focaccia, a spring floral focaccia. So let's get started on that. And what I've done, you could do a small version or a large version. I'm going to be working on this. It's a regular bread dough. You could use a pizza dough. This is the loaf of bread dough that you can get in a 3 or 5 package. You thaw it out, put a little olive oil on the pan, and spread it out with your fingers, and you put little dimples in it like this. And that identifies it as a focaccia bread. And you can certainly make one from scratch if you'd like, but there's no reason to when you can do something this easy. So get yourself some frozen bread dough, put it in a bag, 1 loaf of it in a baggie with a little bit of olive oil so it doesn't dry out, and let it set in the refrigerator overnight, just for 1 night. Don't do it any sooner. And then take it out about an hour or 2 before you're ready to form your focaccia and decorate it. Put a little olive oil on the pan, spread it out. Now, it's going to not spread out in the beginning, so be patient. That's why you take it out ahead of time before you're going to use it an hour or 2. Just take your fingers, stretch it as much as it can. Then it's going to pull back, cover it with plastic wrap, leave it alone, give it a rest for about half an hour, come back, and keep stretching it and checking it every half hour or so until you get it full like this and it starts to bubble up. So that's what we're doing. This is more or less our palette, our background, because we're going to make a floral design on here. You're going to love it. These are just beginning points that you can do and use your own imagination. The next time you go to a grocery store, look at the vegetables and try and envision what you can do with them, with the various cutouts or free form like we've done today. But it's limitless what you can do with this, and so this is a good start. Now let me explain to you what we have in front of me, and I'm going to start out here. We're going to roast all these and place them on top of our focaccia bread. Now everything's going to go on the bread as it bakes in the oven, except I learned through trial and error that the red onions kind of fade away. So I'm taking these and I slice them. When you select your onions, I like to do the longer ones. I'm going to put these on my stone with some little bits of crostini that we're doing for our cheese platter. And I'm going to just place these on here because these are only going to roast 10 minutes. This is going to roast a little bit longer, so I don't want to overcook them. And these little strips here, I just took a little peeler, serrated peeler, and grated the side of a yellow pepper on there, and they look like little stamens in the center. So we're going to put that over here. And I'll tell you a little more about the bread as we go along. So that's that. Now, take a look at how much fun you can have with all of these different toppings. So let's start over here. These are pepperoncini. And I looked at these, I says, oh my gosh, they're thin little strips, and you could form them and just wrap them around themselves until you get a shape that you like little rosettes of green pepperoncini. And these here, I'm going to take some of these and put them on here as we go along. Oops. And then we're going to take and just kind of eyeball it as you go. And this, as I mentioned, this is a smaller one. So you can do a larger stone like this one we have over here and use 2 loaves of bread dough. And then right here, do you know what these are? They're just sugar snap peas that I've taken, excuse me, and I just sliced them so that the peas showed in the center. And this happens all the time. I should have a little pair of tweezers to do this. But we're just going to spread them on here. Like little leaves coming off the side. And you can always fill them in later. Oops. Come on. Get over there. Okay. So those are going down there. And let's do another one of these here. Let's do one up here. And I'm going to save room on the tops of these to put several of the onions. And then these are little pepper dews, and I put corn inside the center. And I thought those would be colorful. Let's put one down here and kind of push it into the dough like so. And I'm going to turn this around when we're done so you can see the effects of everything. What else do we want to do? Oh, these are fun. These are little green olives. So let's put a few up here. And I sliced them so that the red part was standing up. And it helps to have little tools that you can kind of place inside. And you can prep all these ahead of time. I brought a larger one for Easter Sunday. And I did all these little slicing and cutting the shapes before I left. So they were all ready to go. Then, I wonder if we have room for this. This is a big one. You know what I did with this? These are, can you tell what those are? I chopped up black olives. And then this is the top of the yellow pepper. And I just punched out where the stem was. And it's a little big, but how gorgeous is that? You know, I love doing this. You can tell, right? And then we're going to take, these are radishes that I slice. I think this and the tomato roses that I'm going to show you are one of my favorites because they really show up so beautifully when they're cooked. So let's just, how does that look? And then I have half of a yellow, small yellow tomato that I'm putting there. And let me see, we're going to take one of these, which are halved small cherry tomatoes. And again, just a chunk of black olive. And I'm going to put that, I think I'm going to put that over here. Right in there. And we got to save room here. I'm going to take some of these little black olives, I think, and put them up the stem here. Just a few for color and contrast. Now, I wouldn't put anything like a cucumber on here. I think they're just too watery. But you'll get an idea of what works best for you and what you like and the flavors. And I did a mixture over there of olive oil and garlic that we're just going to put over the top just for flavor. I think that looks pretty good. And because I like these, I think I'm going to do one down here, because these will shrivel up a little bit as they cook. So I'm just going to tuck these under. Let's see. Let's see how that looks. And then, oh, the tomato roses. I almost forgot. Look at these. I'm going to show you how to do this. See that? That is the skin of a tomato. I'm going to put it down here. That we've peeled very slightly. And here's like a little tiny rose bud on the side. And I'm going to put this in the oven right now. Excuse me. And we're going to I'm going to put another one here. And I'll show you how to do the tomato rose, because I think that's one of the most dramatic ones on the whole platter. And then our red onions are going to fit in there. But I want you to really take a good look at how this came out. What do you think? I'm going to put a little rose up here. Yep, I think that's going to be good. And you can push it down into the dough. But these look so beautiful when they come out of the oven. So we're going to do a little brush of olive oil and garlic. And I put in a little bit of Italian seasoning because you don't want these to dry out. And let me give you a little suggestion. Before you put this in the oven, take a picture, because it gets a little darker when it's in the oven. The vegetables, of course, will cook down, and some of them do a little better than others in the oven. So the greens tend to kind of disappear, but you can tell they're there, and they make a good anchor for the rest of the palette. Now, people are going to ask if you signed this painting. And you tell them, yes, it's in the corner somewhere, but you actually should sign this. It is a spring floral focaccia, and I think it's a masterpiece. And how fun is it to be able to do this? I also cut little green scallions. Let me put this on. I'm always adding to it. I see little patches here and there that I think they look nice next to the little roses, almost like little leaves coming out. That isn't going to work. And if you have leftover veggies, you make a salad. Nothing wrong with that. Put some over here. And every time you add a veggie, you're adding flavor and color and a little more interest. So I think I'll put a little more, make sure you get some on the dough, because that's what makes it a focaccia bread. And I have my oven preheating at 450 degrees, believe it or not. And that's going to get a good start. And then we're going to turn it down after about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes to 400. But that's a look at everything on there. Now, you can imagine if you have a bigger stone that you're using and you're doubling this recipe, there's no end to all the different things that you can put on top of here. Oh, I think I missed this. I'm going to add a little more onto the roses. So I'm putting this in the oven, and when we come back, I'll show you our second dish. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. While we have everything in the oven, I'm going to show you two things that I'm going to pop into the oven. And this will be for our cheese board. Now, remember, we're doing the onions to go on top of the focaccia bread. The focaccia bread will probably cook. We started it at 450, and we're going to lower the temperature after 15 minutes and do another 15 minutes at 400. So it doesn't take that long, but if we put the onions on, they shrivel up and you can't even see them. So I'm doing the crostini to go with our cheese tray. And these will only cook for about 10 minutes. So while the oven's on 450, they could even take less time. I'm going to pop these in, and I just put olive oil on both sides. I didn't do the garlic oil, just plain olive oil. And I want to sprinkle it with a little bit of sea salt, just a little bit, just to give it a little depth of flavor. because this is going to be served with a very light ricotta cheese. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. So that's going to go in the oven. And also, to go with this cheese tray, have you ever had roasted grapes? Bet you haven't. Let me show you. This is amazing. I just have a heavy skillet, or if you have room on a tray, you could do it right on there. It won't hurt because there's olive oil in the bread as well. And I'm just doing a little drizzle, not even a teaspoon, and roll the grapes around. And then, again, sprinkle a little sea salt. That brings out the sweetness. And we're going to roast these in the oven along with the bread and everything for about, we're going to have about 12 minutes left on the timer. So that should be just about right. So I'm going to pop these in the oven. And I'll put these in. I love my cast iron pans. You know that. This is going to give it a nice roast. And I have my timer on for about 12 minutes, and it should be fine. Now, what we have here, this is so fun. You're going to be the talk of the tree when you do this. What I did, here's our herbs. I brought my herbs in from my herb garden over the winter, and I have some oregano, some lime basil, some chocolate mint, and some lemon thyme. Love all these flavors. If you can't find these, which these are hard to find, just use regular thyme and a little bit of fresh basil, and that's all you need. Now, what I have here, I made some homemade ricotta cheese. And if you want to know, again, check out my yogurt yoga. And it's just milk and a little bit of vinegar. You heat up the milk to 120 degrees. And you cool it down to 110 and add about a tablespoon or two of white vinegar. And you mix it up until the curds form. And you strain it in a coffee filter for about 30 minutes. And you come out with homemade ricotta cheese. And you can put it in any form that you want. This, it's a little damp because it has a lot of moisture still in it. But you can leave that in your refrigerator overnight. This is so creamy and so light and so delicate. I added a little bit of sea salt to it. I always like to add a little more for crunch on the top because we have some sweet and savory things that we're going to add. So I'm going to do just a little hint of sea salt. Brings out the sweetness. Just a little. Like so. And then, I love this. You can use dried thyme, fresh thyme, or little bits of thyme from my garden, lemon thyme. And sometimes I shave a little bit of lemon zest on the top of this as well. Gives it a nice savory depth as well. But I think with the lemon thyme, you don't want to overpower this because it's such a delicate cheese, but it needs a lot of help because it is so light. And this, of course, is what you can use to make lasagna. But it's so good like this. Now, if you didn't want to make your own cheese, ricotta cheese, of course, buy a tub of ricotta cheese and drain it overnight in a damp coffee filter. And if it's a little watery, or if you drain it overnight, you'll get a dry cheese like halloumi, and you can grill it. But if you just want a soft, spreadable cheese like this, only drain a store-bought one for about 15 minutes. Check it for consistency, and you'll be surprised how much water will come out of it. But you don't want that liquid in there because it won't be spreadable if you do that. So on top of this, I'm going to add, I love my flavorings. This is a raspberry glaze. It's like a balsamic glaze that's boiled down. And I usually add this right to the middle. So it has a little pool of balsamic right in the center. And of course, you could double, triple this recipe, but I wanted you to get a good idea of what this is all going to look like. And then a little bit of honey, and I like the wildflower honey because it's a little stronger than most honeys. And very carefully, so that you don't squeeze too much, drizzle that over the top like that. Already it's looking fancy, and you can do this. This is not difficult to do. In here, I have some store-bought fig jam. That's all it is. Now, you could roast figs if you'd like, but I just take regular fig jam because I love the flavor, and they're already cooked. And I'm just adding a little bit of this lime basil on the top so that you get a little bit of this on top of the cheese. And that's the top. And I have some pistachios, and this is for our roasted grapes we're going to put in here. So I'm going to check on our focaccia, and when we come back, I'm going to show you a simple, elegant, and really delicious dessert for Mom. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. I promised you I'd show you how to make those tomato roses. And this is probably the most difficult, if you will, to make, but they're not difficult at all. But what you need is a very, very sharp knife and a small knife. And make sure you sharpen it first. And you just start out right at the top of your tomato and see how thinly. I'm just barely getting the skin. And it's okay if you get a little more, and it's also okay if it breaks. So then I'm going down a little bit lower. And you probably could get 2 tomato roses out of one large Roma. This is a Roma tomato, and I like those much better. They're a little sturdier, and you save the tomato and you can put it in a sauce or a salad. You can see it's not scrunching up at all. And I'm just cutting. That's probably enough. And then you lay it out on a cutting board. So fun to do. So if people call and ask what you're doing, you say, I'm making tomato roses. It sounds very intense. And you do the skin side on the outside, and you take the thinnest end and you start rolling. That's all you do, is just roll and roll. You're on a roll. And then sometimes I just stand it up like so. Can you see? And you can just take and wrap the rest of it right around like so. That is the most beautiful tomato rose. And tuck it in, and there you go. You could garnish a vegetable platter, a breadboard, a salad. Think of all the different things you can do with that, and you did it. And then you have plenty left here that you can make another tomato rose. And again, save these tomatoes for salad or a sauce or a soup or whatever you want to do with it. But I think that is just, you do this, you're going to be the talk of the tree. I think that is spectacular and so easy to do. And everything else is just cutting and slicing all the veggies that we did on our spring floral focaccia. Experiment with different vegetables too, like green beans. You can do a whole cluster of green peas. I tried corn, and the corn kind of burnt. It got kind of dark, so I kind of shy away from that. And like I said, cucumbers. You could do mushrooms and do different floral shapes out of the mushrooms. I would even do like a purple cabbage and chop it up and make it look like a hyacinth. So many different things, and so fun to do. Take strips of the yellow pepper that I used and make a daisy with the black olives chopped for the center of your daisy or sunflower. It would be spectacular. So you have fun with these. I'm going to check on our bread and turn the oven down to 400 and get our little crudités out of the oven. So we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. We have our little crudités ready to go. This is going to be for our homemade cheese or your store-bought ricotta cheese mold. And see how nice and toasted they are? This is why I love my baking stones. And somebody made a comment when I brought this for Easter. They said, I love these because they're toasted just right. They're not too hard. They're not too thick. They're not too dense. So don't slice them really, really thick because you want just a little touch of crunch, but you don't want to, have it really that you're going to break somebody's teeth. So we made extras, of course, and you can replenish the platter as you go. And just line them up. Oops. And you can even set these on a separate platter to make sure you have as many as you need. But, attend your platters and replenish them as you need. Here. And then these are because this pan is so hot, always put a pot holder there. And these, look at our beautiful roasted grapes. These are so beautiful and they're glistening. And as they set, they kind of cool down a little bit. I like to serve them warm, but they get kind of puckery. I don't know if that's a culinary term, but it is today. So they are kind of like almost a raisin flavor, but they'd be good on a cheese board just like this. I mean, they're so fun to do. And everybody always says, I've never thought of roasted grapes. But they're so good. Roasting anything brings out all the sweetness. And that little touch of olive oil and sea salt gives a little savoriness, but also brings out the sweetness. Whenever you add salt, it's a counterpoint to any sweetness that you might add. So everybody can slather on some beautiful ricotta cheese on their crostini, top it with whichever topping. And what I always do as a courtesy to my guests, I print out what everything is because people are going to look at that and say, I don't know what that is. What is it? What did she make now? So as a courtesy to your guest, fill out a little piece of paper that tells them what it is, especially with the peanuts or if anybody has an allergy. And you could even go so far as to put a sample in the front. I do that quite a bit as well. And show them how to, top it with the cheese and then whichever topping that they prefer. It really, really helps clarify everything. It makes it more fun and easy. So that's our crostini platter. And then these are, remember we did this is for our focaccia, our floral focaccia bread. And these only roasted for about 10 minutes. But you can see why I did the onions separately, because if you did them for the full 35 to 40 minutes, they shrivel up to nothing. And I just think this looks so much nicer this way, and they retain their color and their shape. They're very delicate. And I did slice them a little bit on the thicker end, but they still kind of disappear. So we're going to use those to garnish the top. And when we come back, I'm going to show you a simple and very fun kind of a Mother's Day treat. It's a scoop of ice cream with a strawberry-rhubarb compote that I think you're going to love. It's simple, easy, elegant, and delicious. You can do this. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. I took our floral focaccia bread out of the oven, and I'm going to bring it over in a minute. It's just settling down. It is spectacular. I hope you do this. This is a great menu for Mom. Now we have just scoops of vanilla ice cream for you and your mom. And we have in here a strawberry rhubarb jam. And I was going to do the whole rhubarb from scratch. It's kind of hard to find. I'm not a big fan of frozen rhubarb. And when I saw the strawberry rhubarb jam, I said, that's exactly what I want, because then I don't have to cook it. And you don't either. So how easy is that? However, I like to take store-bought ingredients and bump them up a little. And I added to this the zest of half a lime and then the juice of half a lime. And it's probably a quarter cup of strawberry rhubarb jam. And I warmed it up just a little bit to bring out the flavors in the lime zest. It's just really good. You can use lemon zest or lime zest. And then we just kind of cooked it, warmed it up a little bit, and all you need is a little scoop on top. And you get your prettiest dishes. Any kind of dish would do. And I have some toasted walnuts, or you can just have regular walnuts, unless there's an allergy to walnuts. But just to have that crunch in there is nice to have. And then if you want, I had some from my garden. Here's a little bit of orange mint from my garden that I bring in the winter, and put that on the top. And those are our dessert parfait with the strawberry-rhubarb compote, some vanilla ice cream, a little garnish on the top, walnuts, and a little color, mint. And then I'm going to bring over my focaccia bread over here. Wait until you see this one. Going to get a hot pad to put it on. And what I did halfway through, remember I said I started at 450 degrees, and after about 15 minutes I turned the oven down to 400, and because this was a smaller version I actually turned it down to 375. It was browning a little too quickly. And I took the focaccia bread from a lower rack and I put it on a higher rack just to evenly toast it. And this is what it looks like. Our beautiful Mother's Day focaccia bread. Look at this. Is that a work of art? I love the way the radishes just absolutely shine. The little roses. Look at the beautiful roses that we did. The pepperoncini, the olives, the black olives. Look at this, our beautiful yellow pepper that we filled on the top. And now we're going to add, let's see if we can put our red onions over here. Trying to keep them together. Is that one too big? Let's do the smaller one. Kind of offset like so. And I think that will probably do it. And save these. These would be good in a salad or a soup as well. And then you can even slide this out. It comes out quite easily, and put it on. Look at how nicely, because we put olive oil on the bottom and the top. Put it on a beautiful cutting board or a platter and have everybody slice and help themselves. But what I find is people don't want to cut this. It's so beautiful in the presentation. So be ready for that. You might have to cut it yourself because it is a Picasso. Don't forget to sign it in the corner if you can. Let me know how you do that. But our fabulous spring floral focaccia. And send me your ideas, what you find that you've used that works well for you. Don't forget to try for Mom or any time of the year. How nice would this be on a summer picnic or 4th of July or for Memorial Day? Our ricotta cheese in a mold. You can drain the liquid out in a coffee filter, a damp coffee filter, and all the toppings. And you have to try those roasted grapes. They're spectacular. A simple and elegant dessert. Just a plain vanilla bean ice cream with a strawberry-rhubarb compote with a little bit of lime juice and lime zest, and garnished with walnuts. I think Mom certainly deserves this and is absolutely going to love this, and you did it. I just think it's amazing. Try these recipes. Let me know how it works. Thank you all so much for watching. Happy Mother's Day to all mothers, and may the fork be with you.